All right, last call for the day. We have Cory in South Carolina who has evidently faith in a God, but fears that they're serving an evil God. Tell us what's going on, Cory.
Yeah, basically, I was on the Talk Even show. Great show, by the way. But they told me to do some research, and I did do some research. I always believed in a God, right?
Which God?
So, the Bible believing God.
Okay, well,
you do realize, biblical God.
Okay, you realize that there are over 1,000 denominations that all say they believe in the biblical God, and they all believe different things. So, but all right, go ahead, tell us your story.
Yeah, and that's not the only God in the Bible, too.
Moloch, Baal.
Yeah. But yeah, they told me to do some research, which I did. I honestly took what they said to heart, and I actually looked up. He was talking about.
Cory,
Cory,
was this today?
No, this was like a couple weeks back.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
So, but they were told me to ignore the. Basically, I was bringing up my personal experience, and they just cut it off right there and say, hold up, you're just ignoring you're accepting the hits and ignoring the misses. And I was like, yeah, that's true. It's like a lot of Christians will look at their personal experience and say that. I can also look at, like, what's going on. For some reason, I can just not accept that there's no God. And I don't know if it's this a personal emotion that I've been having with this and it's just brought up, or is there like a reason for it? Because
there may be some comfort in this idea that God's looking out for you and gonna help you through the tough times and these sorts of things. But unless you have evidence for such a thing, it's just wishful thinking.
Yeah, you mentioned that you can't get to the point where you're convinced there is no God. I don't know why you think you need to get to that point.
We can't prove there is no God. There could be a God on the other side of the universe under a rock.
Yeah, I am convinced that the various gods that I've been presented with, that they are not in fact real. I am convinced of that. Am I absolutely certain? Nope. Am I sure or extremely confident that no gods exist? No. But it seems preposterous to think that a God exists when you don't have good evidence for it. And so instead of worrying about whether or not you are convinced there are no gods, what you should be doing is saying, right now I'm convinced that this God is real. Do I have a good reason for that? And if it turns out you don't, then you can't believe in that God. It's like, do you have good reason to believe, Cory, that there's a $500 bill in my wallet?
No.
I don't either.
Until I see evidence of you.
Yeah. If I were to tell you, Cory, that there is not a $500 bill in my wallet, you'd probably take my word for it.
Yeah, I would probably take your word for it out of this being natural. Yes, I would.
But if I told you that there was a $500 bill in my wallet, you would want evidence for that, right?
Yeah, I would want evidence for it, but I would probably assume that you are telling the truth.
Oh, okay. What if I told you I was worth $4.5 billion?
Okay, then I'll have to see evidence. If you tell me, like if you're telling me you're homeless and you're worth $4.5 million, I'm definitely going to need proof.
I don't know where
that's a remarkable claim, right?
I don't know where the homeless thing came from, but let's say that, I just tell you I'm worth $4.5 billion, that I have this much, in liquid assets. You would expect more evidence. If I said I had $5, would you be looking for any evidence?
No, because that's just, I mean, you wouldn't ask somebody
this is perfect.
Have $5, it's just like.
Yep, this is perfect. We're all on the same page. Now, so what we have are claims that are just not that big a deal and claims that are pretty significant. Is the claim that a God exists between $5 and $4.5 billion, or is it even more significant than the $4.5 million?
It's even more significant. I mean, I think the value of I
Well,
proclaim that
$4.5 billion exists, right?
So if I say, hey, I've got $4.5 billion, and Don says there's a God, you would want evidence from both of us, but Don would have to provide better evidence, right?
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I get what you're saying, and like the evidence and stuff. Like it's just more of a emotional point. If I'm wrong, it's like then I'm. Let's say, for instance, how can I say this? Okay, let's say I fully adapt to being an atheist, right? And I'm wrong. It's like I'm
wrong all the
not
time.
seeing something, and I want to.
We're going to Pascal's wager.
Something.
We're going to Pascal's wagers. What we're doing, right, Cory?
What?
You're getting ready to express
Sorry,
a version of Pascal's wager, right? You're basically going to say, if you believe there's a God and you're wrong, it's no big deal. But if you don't believe there's a God and you're wrong, that is a big deal, right?
Okay. Well,
is that what you were going?
It's more of a physical emotion. I don't want to put any wagers out there. I don't want to put any fallacies out there. I understand that it's just something I feel. Think of it this way,
Cory. Cory, think of it this way. Think of a belief that you don't have good evidence for as a liability. It's something that could lead you astray, and you want to get rid of those things. You want to only have beliefs that have good evidence behind them, and you want to disbelieve things that you don't have good evidence for. And so the God claim, since you don't have evidence for it, or until you do have evidence for it, you should just put it aside and say, I don't need this in my little kid I'm going to lug around with me.
Yeah. The time to believe something is after you have good evidence, not before. And so if God is even more unlikely or more extraordinary than the claim that I have $4.5 billion, then certainly we would need more evidence for that claim than for this. And the only question left is, do we have evidence of that quality for any God?
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Okay. We have God is a more extraordinary claim than that I have $4.5 billion. And so God would require more evidence that a God exists would require more evidence than we would require for the fact that I have $4.5 billion. Do we have evidence sufficient to reach the conclusion that a God exists?
Well, I would say personally, I don't know. It's like when I came on this show, it's like I didn't know there was like arguments and stuff. I'm looking up these things, so I don't want to be wrong into what I'm trying to find. I'm just looking for the truth. And so far, my conclusion, like if our biblical God is real, I mean, yeah, you can't condone slavery in any type of way. The Bible does says it, and anybody that tells us it's not true is just lying to yourself.
Well, it's an important question,
Bible,
right? But if there's debate, then presumably there's not good evidence, right? We don't debate whether the sky's blue, right?
Yeah.
Because anybody can go outside and look at the sky and say, "Oh, that's blue."
On that note, Cory, let me just say this: keep questioning. Keep being willing to say, I don't know, when you don't know, and try to make sure that if you believe something that you have a really good reason for it. Because if it turns out that you're wrong, there may or may not be consequences. For example, if there is a God and you believe in the wrong God, how is the God that exists going to look at you?
Probably very mad. Like, really, I already read the Untold Gospel and Apocalypse of Peter. I read these things.
So here's those
things are scary. So I understand.
Here's the follow-up, though, Cory. If there is a God, and that God is not doing everything in its power to make it very clear to you that they exist and they are the one true God for you to pay attention to, is that your fault or God's fault?
Uh, it would be God's fault, but
There you
There
go.
you go.
that's a little
Good
bit
answer.
of a easy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I get to talk to y'all because I only got religious people around me. If I go to them about something, they're always going to say, "Oh, why are you questioning? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Why are you begging?" It's like, it will come. You must believe in something. And all I'm doing is looking for the answers. Why is my answers not giving me to God? It's if God is out there and real,
Yeah.
right?
Expand your circle
Why
of
can't
friends.
he give me the answers to do so?
Yeah. If there's a God and he cares about you and me, Cory, and we have sat here and we have looked around and we have hit our knees and we have begged, if there's any God here, please give us some evidence. Please show yourself. Please give me some direction. Please let me know what I'm going to do. And we get nothing. Fuck any God that doesn't answer a plea like that. Because they're playing favorites. They're not demonstrating any interest in me. They're not demonstrating any love for me. Until some God gives me 5 minutes of their time, they're not worth an instant of mine. On that note, Cory, we got to let you go, but I want to recommend that not only should you possibly reach out to recoveringfromreligion.org, you don't have to be an atheist to go to recoveringfromreligion.org. It's just a way to have these conversations. Also, the ACA Discord is available, and I'm sure that somebody will get a link up there to the Discord. But you can also contact organizations like American Atheists, because there are local atheist groups in South Carolina and probably in your area, and probably with some people that you know or near to you, so that you can actually interact with people other than being stuck around religious people all the time. I want to thank you, Cory. I wish you good luck, and you can always email tv@atheist-community.org if you need us to point you to resources a little better. Keep going. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And on that note,